Welcome to the class, everyone. Go ahead and get your notebooks ready, because today we are tearing down and completely rebuilding one of the absolute most critical documents of your entire life, your curriculum vitae, or CV. Think of your CV as your personal marketing brochure. More often than not, it is the one and only thing standing between you and your absolute dream career. I'll be your instructor for this explainer, and we're going to build an internationally standard CV from the ground up. I really want you to treat this as a highly interactive masterclass. I'm going to be throwing questions at you, testing your instincts, and giving you the psychological strategies you need to make sure your resume doesn't just get a quick glance, but actually lands you the interview. So, are you ready? Let's get into it. Let's start with a little warm-up scenario to get us right into the mind of an employer. I want you to vividly imagine that you're the hiring manager of a super busy McDonald's outlet in Shanghai, China. It's late on a Friday. You are desperately looking for a young person to take orders at the customer counter. You put out a job ad, and boom! As a result, a massive, totally intimidating stack of 300 CVs is sitting right there on your desk. You're exhausted, and you have to sift through these rapidly. Now consider these personal details: name, sister's name, date of birth, breed of their pet dog, favorite food, contact address, email, and passport number. Which of these are actually necessary to select the right candidate? Take a second, pause, and mentally tick the required boxes. Okay, let's dive into this. You probably guessed it. The relevant details are simply your name, contact address, and email. But let's look at the deeper psychology of why those irrelevant details, like your passport number, your sister's name, or, your favorite food, are so incredibly dangerous to your application. It basically comes down to something called cognitive load. Every piece of extraneous, useless information you put on a page forces a fatigued hiring manager's brain to work harder. You are actively diluting your own impactful information. If they have to sift through the fact that you love pepperoni pizza just to find out if you actually have customer service experience, they aren't going to do it. They'll simply toss your CV in the trash and move right on to the next candidate. So here is our syllabus for today's masterclass. We'll cover the 5-second first impression, structuring your perfect CV, master your CV grammar, and finally, we'll wrap up with the golden rules of CV writing. All right, let's kick off with Lesson 1, the 5-second first impression. Pop quiz time. Let me pose a direct question to the class. Based on international corporate standards, how long should your CV actually be? What do you think? Do employers want a full 5-page biography of your entire life's journey, maybe 3 pages, or just a half-page summary? Lock in your answer. The answer is 1 to 2 pages maximum. Now, why the strict limitation? Well, because writing a CV is not about providing an exhaustive historical record of every single task you've ever completed. It's about curation. You are basically curating your greatest hits album. Now, if you have 20 years of high-level executive experience and multiple degrees, stretching to 2 pages is perfectly justified. But if you're a recent graduate, you should absolutely try to keep it to 1 single page. If you write any more than that, you're giving the employer way too much to read, and your greatest achievements will literally get buried under a mountain of text. And that brings us to a really common trap. We all want to stand out from the hundreds of other applicants, right? Of course we do. So the temptation is to use this highly complex, heavily designed, bright and colorful template. But why is it an absolute must that a CV remains incredibly simple and readable instead? It all comes down to the number 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. That 5 seconds is literally all the time an exhausted HR manager is going to spend initially scanning your CV. They are not curling up by the fire to read your paragraphs. They're rapidly scanning for specific job titles and keywords. If your clever, fancy design hides those keywords, there's no way around it. You go straight into the bin. You have to ensure your career progress, education, and achievements are prominently marked. And here's an absolutely crucial psychological tip from our sources. Never attempt to make jokes on your CV, and never, ever criticize previous employers. To a hiring manager, this doesn't make you look fun or refreshingly honest. It immediately signals that you are a workplace liability. Keep it brutally simple and flawlessly professional. Okay, let's move to Lesson 2 and see how this builds. We're looking at structuring your perfect CV, and we're going to play a little rapid-fire categorization game. We've got a test candidate today, Peter Devereaux. He's a French graduate who is compiling his first real resume. If Peter wants to state that he is fluent in English, under which standard CV heading does that actually belong? Is it interests? Education? I'll give you a second to think about it. The correct answer is additional skills. You really need to think of this section strategically. This is not a miscellaneous junk drawer, folks. This is exactly where the hard proficiencies that separate you from equally educated candidates live. Language fluencies, advanced computer literacy, or specific software certifications, they all go right here to give you that competitive, practical edge. All right, question 2 for our French graduate. Peter wants to include the bullet point, responsible for supply chain management. Where does this one belong? That clearly belongs under professional experience. This is the undeniable meat of your CV, detailing your past job roles. But here is the advanced masterclass secret. When writing this section, do not just list passive, boring duties. Ideally, you want to start these bullet points with strong action verbs and highlight actual measurable results. Don't just say you managed a supply chain. Show them the impact of what you managed. Excellent work so far. Now we arrive at lesson 3. Master your CV grammar. Listen, this is absolutely crucial. It is all about signaling your extreme attention to detail. Now, what's really interesting about this breakdown of tenses is how perfectly they map out for resume writing. Why do employers care so much about grammar? Well, because if you carelessly mix up your past and present tenses, implying you're currently doing a job you actually quit 2 years ago, the employer instantly assumes you lack basic care and can't even proofread your own work. That is fatal for your chances. You'll primarily rely on 2 structures. The simple past, for an action that took place and cleanly finished in the past, like I worked hard yesterday. And the simple present, used for current facts or ongoing states, like I brushed my teeth every morning. Let's test your understanding here. Here is our next test candidate, Li Ming Cho. She is describing her education. I want you to fill in the blank with the correct tense of the verb study. The sentence is, I blank commerce in Australia for 3 years. Lock in your answer. If you guessed studied, you hit the nail on the head. Because she fully completed her education in the past, it requires the simple past tense. I studied commerce in Australia. This tense definitively closes the loop on that timeline, leaving absolutely zero confusion for the hiring manager regarding her current status. All right, final grammar exam for the day. We're looking at Jayshree Dutta's profile section. She wants to express her current career aspirations. Fill in the blank with the correct form of the verb is. The sentence reads, I blank, keen to follow a career in tourism or hotel management. The answer is am. I am keen to follow a career in tourism or hotel management. Utilizing the simple present tense here is highly strategic. It projects current, active confidence. It tells the employer right in this exact moment that she has immense clarity about her goals and immediate readiness to step into the role. Finally, Lesson 4, the golden rules of CV writing. Consider these the absolute non-negotiables. The universally accepted format flows chronologically and smoothly down the page. It starts with contact details, then a profile, followed by career history, education, and interests. And this structure brilliantly illustrates a key point. Notice that career history must be in reverse chronological order, over the past 10 years. Why reverse? Why start with the present and work backward? Because employers care exponentially more about what you achieved yesterday than what you did 10 years ago. You always want to lead with your most recent, highest level work to anchor their perception of your true value. Our source material actually features a direct quote from a recruitment consultant who states, to sum up, the keywords are clarity and impact. They note that despite enormous numbers of applications, a clear layout with lots of white space always wins out. Let's unpack that for a second. Think of white space like a professional designer does. White space isn't just empty, wasted space. It acts as a necessary visual break. It gives the exhausted hiring manager's eyes a much-needed moment of rest, and it naturally, subliminally, draws their attention precisely to your key achievements rather than burying them in a giant wall of gray text. So the crucial point is sticking to these final rules with the gravity they deserve. First, stick to the truth. Never try to smudge dates to hide periods of unemployment. Lying on a CV is grounds for immediate dismissal even years into a job. A basic background check will totally expose you. Next, print on good A4 paper and never attach unrequested documents. Save that heavy portfolio for the actual interview. Check your spelling relentlessly. Typos just scream to a manager that you're going to be careless with your actual work too. And finally, follow the ad instructions perfectly. If they ask for 4 copies, you send exactly 4. This isn't just an administrative detail, it is their very first test to see if you can follow basic directions. Wow, we've covered a lot.
the structural layout, the absolute precision of grammar, the non-negotiable golden rules, and the brutal reality of cognitive load. So I want you to remember that hiring manager at the McDonald's in Shanghai staring at a stack of 300 papers. I leave you with this challenge. Pull out your own resume the second this explainer ends. Look at it critically. Is your CV truly ready to pass the 5-second test, or is it packed with irrelevant details that will send it straight into the bin? Apply these masterclass lessons. Mercilessly cut the clutter, keep it clean, keep it intensely truthful, and go get that interview.